when do you think we might expect a decision from this administration, and where do you think the key players are?
Nobody knows. It looks like there are 5 different points of view emerging out of Washington, and no wonder the Afghans are confused and the neighborhood is confused, and therefore hedging, particularly by Pakistan, becomes a very powerful tool in their hands. We need to establish a center of gravity for decision making, particularly in the White House, and with the change in the National Security Advisor, I would think that would be the place where decisions can be made and coalesced so that Washington speaks with one voice, and the consultations that go on with our partners are done with one voice and with one argument rather than 5 different arguments taking place in parallel. So that's critical. The other is to establish the priority of our relationship. It is not simply a question of agreeing on a number, but it's also what is that number for, and what is really the future stability of Afghanistan dependent on. I come back to the elections. We can do a lot for the Afghans in helping them actually carry out an election that all Afghans can respect, including perhaps the Taliban. Because once that happens, the country has a stable polity for the foreseeable future, and then they can work out their differences.
And so it's your assessment, Shuja, that no one's in the driver's seat, no one in the U.S. bureaucracy. We could name a few names: Jim Dobbins, the National Security Advisor, the Secretary of State. But it's your assessment that no one's really driving this at this point?
At this point, I don't see a center of gravity for decision making on Afghanistan and the contiguous region in Washington.
And it's my sense I think you raised the right issues on the questions of what are the policy issues. It's the economic dimension, it's the military, but it's not just the military presence, it's the military missions. What's the key purposes for our residual presence with our allies and partners? And from those key purposes, we can determine through an informed public debate what the appropriate type and mix and number of military forces that would be effective for advancing U.S. interests.